Hello everyone and welcome to ITC 2023. My name is Arlene Kern and I'm your host for ITC Live. And today I'm excited to be speaking with BK, who is the Global Head of Financial Services and Insurance for Quantiphi. Welcome BK.
Thank you. Pleasure to be in this event.
Thank you, thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about Quantiphi and your role within Quantiphi?
Sure, absolutely. So Quantiphi, we are an AI-first digital engineering firm, started 10 years ago with the sole mission of solving problems using AI and data. We grew, in the initial days, focusing on problems and finding solutions using AI. I would say 2016 was probably the pivotal moment for us when, digital transformation and cloud adoption became synonymous, and we got all the necessary compute and storage to solve problems. And from that point onwards, it's been a rapid rise for us. We are around 4,000 employees across the globe.
Wow.
Solving problems in various sectors, insurance being the largest or the most dominant sector where we do a lot of work. I lead the financial services and insurance business. My mandate is to, cater to this sector, bring AI and data as a problem-solving tool for carriers and financial institutions.
Great.
And help them reimagine problems at the heart of the business.
That's wonderful. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you drive value for your customers with AI-first digital engineering?
Sure, absolutely. So, driving value is at the core of what or where we start solving problem. At the end of when we start talking to our clients, our primary objective is to understand their existing pain point, their current processes, and what kind of change they want to drive, or what kind of change they aspire to drive. And from that point onwards, we get involved in terms of helping them navigate the whole journey. So the proven methodology that we follow is hack it, prove it, nail it, scale it, which means that we start with first looking at the problem statement, looking at prototyping it, spending a finite amount of time, not more than 48 hours, to kind of look at the problem and figure out what is the most important proof point that we have to drive. And then we go to the prove it phase, where we identify that pilot or the proof point and spend 4 to 6 weeks in terms of solving it. And as part of that prove it phase, we not only solve that problem using technology, we also help them look at the business realization or the value realization. It includes, total cost of ownership, return on investments, etc., which is then validated by us, by our partner ecosystem, and then we take it to the customer, who then internally validates it. Once that process is done, then you go to the whole point of nail it, where you start productionalizing a problem, and then post that we help them navigate to other use cases in the scale it phase. So hack it, prove it, nail it, scale it.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Maybe changing tracks a little bit, but not changing the narrative of this conference overall. We're hearing a lot about Gen AI.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on how Gen AI is going to transform the landscape of insurance?
Yeah, so this is a topic of the moment, right? Everybody is talking about it. We got a little bit lucky in this whole Gen AI phase because of an early adoption that we did, and all thanks to our co-founding team and our R&D team, who have been looking at generative AI technologies since 2018, before it became a buzz. I know there are tech companies working on it, like OpenAI, Anthropic, etc., trying to solve the problem. Our R&D group has been working on looking at business use cases where generative AI type of technologies will solve problems. We published a lot of papers, and when OpenAI came up with ChatGPT, we were one of the first to go out, come out of the block, launch our Bionic platform, and that kind of helped us go to a larger customer base and have conversations, because given the nature of the technology, it is extremely important to make customers understand the tech, make them believe that it can completely reimagine or change the way they look at technology itself. So while we have a platform that can solve problems, we started taking baby steps in terms of educating customers, doing working sessions, doing executive briefings, hackathons, etc., to kind of help them understand the tech, help them understand what are the nuances, also kind of understand their questions, their concerns, what are the things that they are most worried about this tech.
And what are some of those things that
Yes,
they're most worried about?
So that's a good point, right? I mean, I think some of the, in all our customer conversations, 2-3 themes came out. One, data security. Will our data go out because of these large language models, right? So that is one aspect. The second part is primarily around governance. Will there be some inherent biases that will get trickled in as you start using these large language models that we will not be able to service our entire customer base properly? So that's tied to responsible AI. How do you bring responsible AI framework into the place? Then the third aspect where clients are extremely concerned about, or I'm not concerned. Concern is not the right word. It's about thinking about is how do you integrate Gen AI with their existing tech stack. So these are 3 key things that the customers are talking about, and we in our conversations are trying to take the customer through this journey of solving one problem at a time. And then going back to your original question, my thoughts on Gen AI. First of all, I feel it's once in a generation technology. You probably have heard Sundar Pichai talking about it, saying it's the next best invention after fire.
Yeah.
He kind of made that statement. But then
it's a big claim.
It's a big claim, but I do believe that it's going to change the way technology has been adopted in the market. It's going to change the way business processes have been formed, because in the last 20 years, a lot of business processes are getting formed based on the technology stack.
Yeah.
So you got to start thinking about revamping it. So definitely a tech that every carrier should think about.
And how has it enhanced the services and products that you offer?
Yes. So first of all, services that we offer, our field of play is AI and data, and how do you solve problems using AI and data. Every aspect of our field of play is getting revamped using Gen AI. From a delivery perspective, because the way you are going to execute those projects will completely change. It will obviously, you will bring generative AI in programming, you will bring generative AI in quality testing, you're going to change the way you deliver projects. That's one part of it. Secondly, the service catalog, the type of use cases they are solving, the way to think about solution architecture, those will all change, because you will have generative AI doing a lot of work which were earlier solutioned differently, right? So this is going to revamp our existing field of play. It's going to also create a newer set of use cases which customers probably won't have thought about earlier. So it's definitely making an impact, and a positive impact in our field of play.
Yeah. And what are some of the biggest problems that you're helping customers solve using the AI adoption?
Yeah. So I'll limit my problem statements to insurance, because we are in InsurTech right now. So if you look at the whole insurance value chain, right from the whole customer acquisition to quote, bind, policy servicing, all the way to claims, if you look at all the entire ecosystem, AI can potentially play a big role, right? So when you talk about customer acquisition, you look at how do you segment your customer, understand what kind of products to sell. So hyper-personalization, customer sentiment analysis, customer lifetime value. There are a lot of things that you can do in the front office. So the whole aspect of creating that customer 360, that's where AI and data play a big role. So that is probably one of the first things out of the gate, I would say, where we are doing a lot of work. Then when it comes to bind and code policy underwriting, our AI first techniques, and that's where our platform offers comes into play, where we do platform-based professional services. We have a product called Docify that kind of completely streamline the submission process when it comes to insurance. So that's where we're making a big impact. Policy servicing, again, the whole operations bit comes into picture. Conversational AI, how you're revamping the contact center space by doing call deflections, etc. And then finally, all the way to claims, how can you help navigate the whole claim ecosystem, reduce claim cycle time, bring AI to auto-adjudicate the low-hanging claims or the simpler claims, make the life of specialists much more easier. So across the value chain, we are solving a wide variety of problems.
That's great. I'm interested in hearing more a little bit about the Docify and how it's boosting the productivity of some of your customers.
Sure, absolutely. So before I go to Docify, I just want to call out one of our maturity mantra that we have adopted as an organization. So we follow something called SVP. It's called specialization, verticalization, productization. So specialization is all about hardening the tech. How do you, adopt newer tech? How do you solve problems using it? Uplift the skill set of the people doing the work. So that's specialization. You build specialization around certain technologies. Then comes the verticalization phase, where once you know how to solve the tech and you've solved a bunch of use cases, then you start looking at applicability in certain sectors. And there you start verticalizing your offers, creating sector-specific solutions. So that's been our next phase. So when we started off, we obviously focused on hardening the tech. 2018, 2019 timeframe, that's when we had critical amount of use cases solved in a couple of sectors. So we started with financial services and insurance being one, healthcare life sciences being the other one, where we started verticalizing our functions, creating offers, etc. And then as we have solved problems in a particular sector, we started productization. Repeatable use cases, can we bring off-the-shelf solutions for our customers? And that brings to the existence or the genesis of Docify, where we identified a problem statement which is important in the insurance sector or the insurance and financial services sector, which was around intelligent document processing. There is a lot of paper trail that flows around in this sector.
Yeah.
And there is a need for AI to kind of streamline some of these processes, and that's where Docify came into picture. We went live with the first pilot in 2021, and now we're solving problems using Docify for a number of carriers, helping them, kind of reduce quote to bind time from weeks to days, or I would say hours. And then, solving problems on the claim side, where we're kind of simplifying the F&O processes. And then for the other parts of the community, like the broker community, where we are helping them, streamline policy review, loan insurance tracking when it goes to the financial services space. So there is a wide variety of use cases that we are solving. The whole boardroom management space in the MGA space. So there's wide variety of applicability when it comes to Docify.
Right, that's great. Yeah, it sounds like it could bring a lot of efficiency to the insurance industry, which is so paper heavy right now. So maybe we'll shift a bit and talk about the future of insurance. And I think you can just look around at ITC and see that we're in the midst of a tectonic shift in terms of where the industry is going and large-scale AI adoption. How is this going to change the industry in 5 to 7 years? What's your view of what that could look like?
Very good question, right? So I will answer this question in 2-3 different layers, right? First, let's look at risk management or the type of products that are in play currently in the market, right? So you obviously provide traditional, products which are personal lines, commercial lines. You cover those standard lines. But I do believe that the risk, the nature of risk is evolving continuously, right? Just take for example commercial insurance, right? The amount of coverages that you're going to provide are going to change significantly with everything that's happening with climate change. You must have heard about large carriers going out of certain states like California, from a wildfire standpoint, Florida from a storm perspective. A lot of carriers are backing out because of climate change. So the nature of products are going to evolve, right? That is driven by climate change. The second phase will be the nature, the buying community. There's a shift in terms of how the demography is changing, their risk appetite, the type of products they want to insure. There is, and just think about auto from a personal line standpoint. I was recently reading a survey where the newer generation may not own cars, right? So there is a huge segment that's going to get impacted. So the product landscape is going to change. So there is a need for identifying customer behavior and the type of risks they want to cover. AI will play a big role in there in terms of helping carriers identify the risk appetite for the Gen Ys and the Gen Gs of the world, right? So that's one part of it. Then once you've identified the risk, the second layer comes in terms of how do you run insurance operations? How do you provide them the right coverage at the right price, at the right time? And that's where AI is going to play a big role in terms of helping them streamline processes, providing them auto-generated quotes using Gen AI. That's one of the use cases that we are looking at, which is basically understanding the customer profile, their risk appetite. Can you auto-generate a quote and tell them we're going to provide A, B, C, right? So that's another area. Then coming to tech management or tech operations, right? All these large carriers have a huge army of vendors and internal employees providing tech operations and asset base of you'd say data centers and technologies and applications, etc. I think those all will change, where tech operations will become extremely nimble, might become platformized, and I would say lot of appetite for software as a service plays going on. So there will be changes at various layers, right from products to how you service your customer, how you sell them, and all the way to how you manage them.
Yeah. Well, I love your vision for the future of insurance, and it sounds like exciting days ahead.
Yes.
What would your advice be to companies in terms of how do they prepare for the technology changes, the organizational changes that are ahead?
Be informed. Be absolutely informed. The first and foremost thing all carriers should do is understand the tech landscape on a regular basis, right? Every CTO, CIO, and I would take it forward I would say the operations level or the CEO should focus on having an innovation council, right? So that's the first step you can do at the C-suite level, where you are actually, getting informed at a regular basis in terms of the technology changes that are happening. That's the first thing you should do. Don't shy away from adopting new tech. That's the last you can do at this moment. You should focus on, doing various POCs, doing, experimenting with different pilots, seeing the benefits, fail fast, So that commitment should come at the C level, and then it will trickle down.
That's great. Well, I think that's great advice. BK, thank you for being here today. You had great advice for us, and good luck to you and Quantiphi.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.